What is going on, guys? Hey, I wanted to come back to you and play another part of this interview that Piers Morgan did with Jordan Peterson. I really found this interview to be quite good. But they're talking at the clip, the point that I'm going to show you. They're talking about what type of people have a problem with, have a problem with being misidentified, or, and Peterson kind of goes into, the research shows that the people that have an issue with this stuff, they're subjectively identifying themselves. And the ones that have a problem with that are 2-year-olds. And most parents know that as well. And we've kind of come across a kind of a whole culture to where, people are subjectively identifying themselves and then getting mad, getting angry if you don't buy whatever subjective reality they throw out there. You got to buy it. You got to buy the full damn thing. And if you don't, you're transphobic and you're hateful and you're whatever. And it's like, you know what? 2-year-olds have a problem with this. And that's what he's pointing out in this clip. And I'm going to go ahead and play this now so we can, you can hear from him. But yeah.
This preposterous hypothesis that your identity is only subjectively defined, and as I've tried to point out in some of my lectures, the only people who think their identity is subjectively defined are 2-year-olds, and I mean that technically because 2-year-olds are egocentric, which means they can't bring their identity in alignment with a social norm, which also means that 2-year-olds can't play with other children. They can play beside them, but they can't play with them. That doesn't happen until you're 3. But what happens when you're 3, if you're reasonably well socialized or start to move towards that, is that you learn how to negotiate a social identity. And then identity becomes, obviously, it has some roots in your subjectivity and in your biology for that matter, but a sophisticated identity is not only socially negotiated, as the constructivists know perfectly well, but it's got a dynamism about it because it has to be constantly renegotiated.
Yeah, right there, guys. I mean, just how narcissistic is this world gotten to the point to where we are so afraid, and we're bending over for this stuff. We are not willing to stand up, or a lot of people are not willing to stand up and say, okay, this is stupid. This is not where we need to go. People are losing right and left, and we're losing our sense of order in this world. We're losing our sense of identity, and I'm talking about real identity. I'm talking about men that were born male, have dicks and balls. And I'm sorry to be that graphic, but I mean that's what this is. And women, they have vaginas and uteruses and whatever. I mean, we are bending over to this new woke ideology, and we're losing our world, our defined world. I mean, we got to have some kind of order, and normally I could find the good in pretty much everything, and I think the good in this situation that we're finding ourselves in now, the good that I think that you can find in this is we are understanding that if we totally throw out the order to things, we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We're claiming that anything that's not subjective and not, whatever you want it to be, is part of toxic male culture. But the thing is, guys, we need male, and we need true male culture. It's like we can't understand that we can't live. We have to understand that we can't live in a world where you can just put your own definitions on whatever. It's like a trans man is a man. It's like, no, a trans man's a woman that wants to appear to be male-like. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. And, it's like, well, you're not being nice because, you're saying that that person is not a man. It's like, well, that person is not a man. I'm not saying it to be nasty. It's just they're not. And, they've even gotten to the point now to where if you aren't willing to date a trans individual, so if I'm not willing to date, I'm married, but if I'm not willing to date a trans woman, I'm transphobic. It's like, no, I'm not. If I were single, I don't want to date a trans person, I don't want to date a man with a dick. It doesn't matter if he still has a dick or not. I don't want to date him. And that's not wrong of me to say that. And no, I don't. I don't say they don't exist. I understand that trans people exist. I'm not debating that. But I am saying, like, yeah, just because they exist and just because I don't want to date them doesn't mean they don't exist. I'm not arguing that. Nobody's arguing that point with you. We're just saying that we don't want to date them. I'm not attracted to a man. Whether he got his dick chopped off or not, I'm not attracted to a man. I don't want to date a man. And, and we've got to pretend that again, it's not a man, it's a woman. No, it's not. And if you want to compromise, I'll say, okay, so trans woman. But it's not a woman. It's not the same as my wife or, other biological women, females. And, it's like, well, you're transphobic. No, I'm not. I generally look for women to have uteruses and there's a whole different, thing about them. It's like, but, we got to pretend. And I think that's what has made people like myself so angry is we have got to pretend that we got to warp reality to suit these people that expect us. They're so narcissistic. They expect us to warp reality for them. And if we don't warp it for them, we're bad. We're mean people. It's like, no, guys, we're not. We're just sick of warping reality for you. But anyways, guys, if you would, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.
You son of a